Alright, let's dive into something that's been weighing on a lot of hearts lately, the sudden passing of Glen Hansard. Now, if you're not familiar with the name, let me just say this: Glen wasn't just a musician, he was a storyteller, a troubadour, and for many, a voice that felt like home. His death in a motorcycle crash at 56 has left a void that's hard to put into words. But what makes this really interesting is how his legacy isn't just about his music, it's about the way he lived, the connections he made, and the impact he had beyond the stage. Personally, I think what stands out most is how universally loved he was. You've got politicians, fellow musicians, actors, everyone's coming forward to share their memories. Take President Catherine Connolly, for instance. She didn't just call him a great songwriter, she framed him as a leader of a musical movement in Ireland during the 90s. And that's no small feat. The Frames, his band, weren't just another group, they were part of a wave that inspired an entire generation. What many people don't realize is how much the era shaped modern Irish music, and Glen was right at the heart of it. But here's the thing, Glen wasn't just about the music. I mean, his live performances were legendary, those evenings where he'd weave stories between songs, making you feel like you were part of something bigger. But what's equally remarkable is how he used his platform. His annual Christmas Eve Bash in Dublin wasn't just a concert, it was a statement about community and giving back. He was deeply involved in helping the homeless, and that's a side of him that often gets overshadowed by his artistic achievements. If you take a step back and think about it, that's what makes his loss even more profound. He was a man who truly lived his values. Now, let's talk about the tributes. Bruce Springsteen's words hit hard, didn't they? Always positive, smiling, and ready to sing. That's the Glen everyone seems to remember. Warren Ellis from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds talked about Glen's loyalty and his passion for music, dogs, and the meaning of it all. It's those little details that paint a picture of who he really was, not just a musician, but a friend, a thinker, a guy who cared about the small stuff. And then there's Rachel Zegler's tribute. She performed with him just a few months ago, and her words, "Oh, I will love you forever," feel like they're echoing what so many of us are thinking. Glen had this way of making everyone feel seen, whether you were a fellow artist or a fan in the crowd. What this really suggests is that Glen's impact wasn't just in his songs, it was in the way he connected with people. His music was personal, his stories were relatable, and his generosity was genuine. It's no wonder his passing feels like a collective loss. If you ask me, the biggest takeaway here is how Glen Hansard lived his life as a reminder that art and humanity are inseparable. He wasn't just creating music, he was creating moments, memories, and meaning. And that's something we could all take a page from. So, as we remember him, let's not just play his songs, let's carry forward that spirit of generosity, that passion for storytelling, and that commitment to making the world a little better. Because, in the end, that's what Glen Hansard was all about. What do you think? How has Glen's music or his story impacted you? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't already, go listen to Falling Slowly, it's a masterpiece that captures everything he stood for. Until next time, take care.